Hi there. Welcome to New Tracks Modeling. New Tracks is an exciting new digital opportunity to obtain mentoring to help you improve your modeling. You will meet talented modelers and manufacturers from all over the world who share their model building skills and artistic advice. Improve your modeling and increase the confidence in your modeling efforts. Share your building efforts with fellow modelers and have some fun doing it. The shows are live on Zoom and YouTube, so be sure to join in and ask your questions. Now here is New Tracks founder and your host, Jim Kello MMR.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We really do appreciate it. Hope you'll check in with us many times in the future and tell your friends about us. Before we start the show, I want to introduce Father Ron Walters.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
Before we start the show, I want to introduce Father Ron Walters, who will start us off with the show's prayer. Father Walters.
Creator of the world, as modelers and makers, we recognize the intricacy and the beauty of our world. We thank you for the vision and the artistry you have given us. Continue to bless us with your creative spirit. Amen.
Next, I want to make an announcement about our scholarship program. We have a viewer who has donated a $1,000 challenge grant to the show. If we can get a match of small donations anywhere under $80, this can be $1 to $80. He'll match that up to $1,000, which gives us a $2,000 contribution to our scholarship program if we can get the match of the $1,000 in small donations. So what we're asking is, please consider, I know these are tough times, I know inflation is bad, I know that the money spent for our hobbies is awfully slim these days, but we sure would appreciate anything that you can contribute, because we don't want to lose the $1,000 scholarship challenge grant from this one individual. And unless we can get it matched by the end of December, that's the end date for this, then we lose whatever of the $1,000 we haven't been able to get matched. So these are all small donations. As I say, anywhere from $1 to $80, it all adds up. It all goes 100% to the scholarship winner. There's nobody taking any fees out of it or cost out of it or anything. It's 100% goes to the scholarship fund. If you'll use Zephy, you can use a credit card, however you want to do it. There's a QR code here. If you'll click on it, then that'll take you where you need to go on Zephy to make a contribution to the scholarship fund. And we really know these are tough times, but if you can see your way clear, we sure would appreciate it, because we do want to do everything that we possibly can to achieve this $1,000 match from this one donor. And I can't thank that person enough for their interest and their faith in us by being willing to donate $1,000 as a matching grant for small donations. Thank you so very much. We have somebody special on the show tonight. Mr. Garth represents LocoFi. We've seen LocoFi on our show in the past, but tonight's program is going to be talking about LocoFi and its involvement with battery power. We're getting an awful lot of interest in the series that we recently started with Steve Sherrill on battery power. And I'm really happy about that, because I'm personally interested in it. And I think this is something that we're finding a lot more people interested like me. So one of the things that is going to be offered by LocoFi is a 15% discount off of their already discounted products for 2 days, today and tomorrow. So October the 18th if you order, or October the 19th if you order, you can order one of their LocoFis and get an additional 15% off of that price. The discount code that you need to use is shown on the screen, but let me repeat it for you. It is K, S is in Sam, P is in Paul, L is in Larry, 2315. J, K, Jim Kello, S is in Sam, P is in Paul, L is in Larry, 2315. And if you order one of the units either today or tomorrow, then you'll get an additional 15% off of the price for the LocoFi that you ordered. Now, with that said, we'll be talking about LocoFi, and Josh will be here in person to talk about it and to talk about how it impacts battery power and how it works with battery power in your locomotives. And Steve Sherrill will be joining him because this is part of Steve's series on battery power that we started several weeks ago. And I really do appreciate LocoFi, who's been on the show before, but I really appreciate their interest and your participation tonight in this effort. Now, with that said, let's start our show. Gary Sherrill is here, MMR, and he's going to be finishing the build that he started several weeks ago. We've been having troubles with his internet connection the last couple of weeks. But tonight, Gary will finish building the Walters plastic kit that's not going to look like a plastic kit, as you'll see when he finishes it. So Gary, welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jim.
We need Gary spotlighted, Alan or Phil or who, yeah. Excuse me, Gary, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, what we're going to talk about tonight is the second building that comes. This kit comes with two buildings. On part 4, I finished the first building and showed you the methods for making the plastic look like wood. And what we're going to do is what I did on building number 2. So went with a different base color. The same process of using your razor saw to do the scribing on the siding and on the other parts, the back porch and the railing, etc., on all the areas where there'd be wood. And then I took 3 colors and mixed them into put them into a palette. And then there's the original color. And then these 3 colors will be mixed. And what you would do is when the mixing is done, you start streaking your model, your sides of the building. Start streaking these in. And as you progress, this is basically what you do. You start blending these different colors in on the individual boards all around. And then you just keep blending and blending until you get this streaking effect. You leave this here. This is an inner wall, which the porch gets surrounded. Sorry, inner wall with porch gets surrounded. And then your different streaking from those 3 different colors you picked. And you can see the different shades that as a result of that, the original color shows through a little bit. So you get that original color you started with, and then you're blending in on the boards, individuals. And then there's the back porch put on. You can see the some of the original color in here with the blending in again. And then the front porch and the back porch, what I did was I did a very light porch. Same method, start off with your base color, and then you start just doing your streaking. Streak the odd board here and there just to give it some sort of individuality to the porch. And then what I do is I take underlined shale, and then I go over all this with a underlined shale. Now on the building itself, when you finish doing the blending here, you take that black wash and you go over your whole model. Now the black wash is a very thin, almost watery like wash. And you put that all over your model, all over your deck, your porch, all the sidings. And that will blend everything in even more. You can see it gives it a very nice effect. Some of the boards I showed you earlier, you get the raised boards. These here holes are for the, as you'll see later, are for the downspouts. So the roof here, what I did exactly with the first building, I cut out these strips, which is sewing backing. It's a cloth-like material, but very, very thin, almost paper-like, but it isn't paper. And using sticky glue, I measured the front porch, back porch roofs, and then the house roof. And then I started laying these strips. And you can see the strips have been put on, and then a blending of different colors to give it some coloring to the roof. It looks like it's supposed to be a tar paper roof. And this material gives a very effective sort of tar paper texture. Okay, so also with this kit, it's very nice. It comes with a full sheet of blinds and curtains, which are really nice. So what you do is using tacky glue, after putting the glazing in, I went over and I picked out the window curtains and shades that I wanted to use. And I started putting them into the windows, the doorways of the building. Now this is the inside part of the roof, and this little item here, which comes when you put the roof together. Get this little item. This roof is removable, and you can put a light in there. That's basically a little fixture for holding an interior light if you wish to put a light inside your building. And there's the roof using that material again. And I capped it with that material. Leave room for the chimney. And you can see I've done a little bit of washes in that to give that roof tar paper effect. And here we are with the roof attached and a little more playing around with the roof material. And then the building put together, the roof put on, you can see the curtains. This is the tar paper effect. This has been weathered with pastels here and there to give the effect of wearing. Same on the side down here along the edge of the building where dirt would normally collect. You do a little bit of weathering there. This is the back part of the building. You can see I've carved away a little bit of the plastic to make these look like very well-worn steps. And then they were painted with a cement color. A little bit of chalks and that up on the roof. Same with the side and the drippings that would come off the side of the windows. There's another shot of it showing the raised boards. And you can see the graining, and it does really look like wood. Again, back part of the building, and we can see the eave troughs have been put in. See the difference on the sides. Okay, back part of the roof, just showing the roof where you can see I roughed it up a bit and just did a few chalks to give it that brown, blackish sort of used or well-weathered tar paper. Closer. The porch, you can see the porch, the graining in the porch, and then the different color of boards. This area would be well used. Steps again were roughed up and well worn. And as you get further in the porch, a little nicer. And then when you get near the door, a little worn a little more. Another shot of the roof showing the streaking that would occur coming off the chimney and some streaking at the seams where the tarp breaker would be, and then added the gutters. Same here. And we have the another shot of the building itself. See some of the streaking that has been added with pastels. A little dirty along just above the stone area where you would get the splashes from the ground and be splashing dirt up, and then dirt, and as rain would drop, you'd get streaking down. Here again on the windows. Now, that's the end of building number 2. And as you can see, when you do this method of this scribing with your razor saw, it really does bring out the grain. And the grain is highlighted when you start going through the method that it showed you. You can see here that this really looks like wood. It takes the straight lines that plastic has, and you can see the unusual shapes, which normally you would get with wood after it has been on a building for a while. Now, other buildings that I've done this is another one. This is the first building I ever tried this method with. And you can see here, this actually does look like wood. And it's a very effective method. Now, this building was done in a light color originally, and then 3 colors with the streaking of the different individual boards, and then everything blended together with the black wash. So it is a very effective method on plastic. Now, one of the other, I haven't just finished or done this method on buildings. I've also done it on cars. And this is a car, this is an AccuRail car. And what I've done is, this is a very heavily weathered AccuRail car. You can see here, this really does look like wood. Same with the boardwalk. And this is another car that I had done with that method. The roof walk on the top, and using your different colors and streaking, and then blending with that black wash. And that's about it, Jim. I'd like to thank Walters. This little company kit is a very nice kit. And you get 2 buildings to work with. And it was an enjoyable project. And I'm in the future, my plastic buildings will be all done with this method.
Well, I'm impressed with it, Gary. I can't thank you enough by showing us the technique, because it sure does put plastic in a different perspective, in my mind at least. A lot of us, me included, have looked at plastic kits and said, no, that's something I don't want to fool with. But doing them the way that you did it, it comes out, it does look like wood and stone. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do this for us.
I thank you very much, Jim. It was a pleasure.
Anybody have any questions for Gary? Gary, thank you so very much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Well, now I want to turn to Martin Brechbiel MMR, another MMR. for his Scratchbuilders Corner. Martin, welcome.
Okay, Jim, let's see where, oh, there it is. And there we go. I think, I hope. It looks right to me. Well, I'm sure you remember last week we had a bundle of coffee sticks, stirrer sticks, that were all stained. And this is what you can do with them. And pre-staining them is kind of fun. Well, you can't do it the way I used to do it because you don't get coffee in metal cans anymore. So you got to use a big soup can. And I just throw them in the soup can with a mix of dilute min wax, pour it off, fish them out, spread them out to dry, and they come out all nicely variegated and not uniform, because one thing I hate is wood that all looks the same. It's unfortunate, but you know, our commercial basswood all is nice and smooth and polished, and it tends to look identical. You got to make it, you got to work at it to make it look different. But coffee stirrer sticks aren't basswood. I think they're birch, and they take stain all differently, which is kind of fun, but they are a little harder to work with because they are a harder wood. So this is just from last week, take the frame I had shown and just glue these down with carpenter's glue. A little bit of weight on top to keep them moving around, and cut off the ends. If there's any overhang, you can sand that smooth if you want, or you can leave it rough. I do a little of each because I think that just adds a little more identity to the edges. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth and clean. So there's what it looks like from underneath. There's a lot of pieces of wood here. So we have some extra floor joists that are glued in and tied to the posts. And all those posts are glued in place. I just cut a lot of, I guess those were like 1 inch, roughly. Yeah, they were 1 inch, as opposed to, I started off at 3/4 and I said that was a little low. So 1 inch, so that's 4 feet high, a little higher than belt high. But, you know, it's just a little dab of carpenter's glue, stick it in place. They're measured pretty much spaced equidistant. You know, split the distance between the corners and just distribute the weight. I did not put posts in the middle. It's all perimeter supported. So you can see we put some angled boards on to hold it in place to keep them from falling over. And actually I applied them at left to right, top to bottom, counterclockwise as you go around, if anybody cares. You can go clockwise, you can go the other direction if you want. You can go random if you want. It's all up to you. It's your structure when you do something like this. So I just got into a directional groove and stayed with it. It might have had something to do with the music I had on, for all I know. And 2 at the end, spanning the distance across the ends. That's just, I don't even know what size wood that is. It's leftover wood from a kit that I developed, back in the dark ages, I guess it was. It's been a long time. And there's still bundles of this stuff laying around in my shop. So whenever I have an opportunity to use something up, it finds a home on a model somewhere. Okay, so all this stuff, you know, when you build something, it's not held together with glue. You try to glue together a house, it's probably not going to work very well. So you go into the nut, bolt, and washer castings drawer, and these are Grant Line ones, as I recall, and I pre-painted them because painting them later is a pain. They're gray plastic. Unfortunately, Grant Line doesn't make black nut bolt and washers anymore. Now they're kind of a gray or a funky cream color, which is really annoying, but okay, you have to work with what you got. Or you buy stuff from Tishi, which is kind of a rust red brown, which is kind of nice. But I decided to do this the hard way for some reason, unknown reason. I just slapped on the my current color of black, which is actually Brunswick green, because I had an open bottle of it, and that bottle's slowly draining down as I can make it go away. I don't have a lot of call for polyscale Brunswick green, but it makes good black because it might as well be black. Okay, so we had the 4 walls and we put it together and test fit a door in place and put it on top of our platform. And as I said last week, the size of the platform was actually determined by the structure it's going to sit on it. Seems to maybe backwards, but okay, so the structure's X and Y dimensions. Well, we want a platform that's going to have to accommodate it in at least one direction, and a little extra in the front to pile debris, human bodies, dogs, what have you, details that you like to put in front of things. I added a larger doorknob to the Tishi door casting, just a clothing pin, a sewing pin. The doorknob is cast on. It's kind of small. In fact, it's so small you can barely tell it's there. So this may be oversized slightly, but you can see it from 2 or 3 or 5 feet away. So you know, oh yeah, there's a doorknob there. So we need a roof. Not to get fancy on this at all. That's just 1/32 basswood. Probably 2 or 3. Well, it might be 1 piece. No, it's 2. There is a seam. I can see it. It's a couple of scraps glued up. It's only a 32nd thick, so it's actually pretty thin. So we back up all these surfaces, get carpenter's glue on. So you've got something for the glue to grab onto, as opposed to relying on just the edge of this board and batten siding. So a little extra keeps it on nice and secure, and it's pretty much equally spaced, left, right, front, and back. So we'll put a roof on it. This is leftover paper from a Carolina Craftsman kit, back when Carolina Craftsman sold O-scale kits. And I still had some of that laying around in the drawer, and just cut it. It's already cut to about 3 feet. A little carpenter's glue. You work your way on. If you haven't put a roof on recently, you work your way from the bottom up. So you have overlap, and the water runs down from top to bottom, and your seams clear from top to bottom. And you overlap everything when you glue this paper down, just like you would a real one. It's not too hard to do. Taught my kids how to do it when they were about waist high. It's putting on a roof. It's just like you do it any other way. And not to leave it too naked, I added some fake rafters. These are, I think, 3x9s or 3x10s, O-scale. And just snipped off a short length on the chopper, and then a sanding block to put a bevel on it, so it fits up nice and tight to the board and batten siding. So it looks like it's coming through, as opposed to just being stuck on. So you don't want to have a joint there that's totally visible. And if it just so happens that you run into, like right here, where there's the board and batten, the batten actually comes up in the way, you have to shave that off with your number 15 scalpel blade, and so the rafter sits nice and smooth there. So it looks like that batten fits up right on into the roof rafter. Okay, painting this, finishing it. I wish I could tell you what colors those are. I have a bad habit of not remembering colors, because what I do is I save nearly dry or the scraps of polyscale paints and then I dump in about a quarter to a third of a bottle of water. and just make a wash. And then I'm just slopping it on and then messing around with it with a Q-tip or a applicator stick and spreading it around. I think there's a D&H gray and L&N gray. There's some brown, rust, black, and some other colors. So I have a box where I just keep these leftover paints that are almost dry, almost waste, but they're not waste anymore. Now they're washes for applying to structures wherever you need it. And a little bit on the roof as well, because roofs don't stay clean for very long. And I just walk around the building real quick. You can see I added some places a little heavier than others, did the platform as well. And yeah, the roof lifts up a little bit. Okay, fine. That happens. Strong enough wind comes along, it rips it right off. I have experienced that in real life. It's rather aggravating to find the roof to your firewood shed 40 feet away from the shed. And that's where we're stopping. Very simple, straightforward, basically a box on a platform structure. We'll start out, like I said, we'll start off simple and easy, nothing complicated, and we'll get more complicated next week. Pretty much can guarantee that. So we'll stop there. And any questions, or let the interrogation begin?
Anybody have any questions for Martin? Martin, thanks so very much. That's a great little structure. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's something you can do pretty quick and easy. It's nothing complicated. You can knock this out in any scale.
And it'll fit in anywhere. I mean,
Yeah,
that's, you can detail it up a little bit more.
Well, you can add all kinds of things out front. You can put a sign on the front of it. You can put whatever you want with it. It's open-ended.
Yep. But that's a great little building to start with. Thank you so very much, sir.
All right, Jim.
Well, now I want to introduce Jeff Jordan. Jeff is doing me a favor because he's building in styrene, which is a substance that I have never been able to master. So I really appreciate, Jeff, you doing this and showing all of us how easy it is from your standpoint to build in this, something that I hope I can learn.
And thank you, Jim. And tonight we're really getting into the heart of it. And I'll show you how you take packages of evergreen styrene and turn them into your model parts. So I'm going to try sharing screen here. See if I get my, okay. Everybody see making walls?
No, see you.
Okay, then I'm doing something wrong. So I have the PowerPoint on my screen on my computer, and I'm trying to figure out how to show it to you. Okay. How about now?
I see a bunch of pictures, small pictures.
Yep, I'm just got to get it to the slideshow.
Just start the slideshow.
There you go. Click that.
And there we go. And so we're starting off with making the walls. And this is literally from that package of evergreen styrene siding material, the lapstrake type siding. And as I mentioned last week, it makes sense to wash this before you even start to work with it. It's slick. It comes with some sort of a mold release on it. And so either before you start cutting up the sheets, or certainly by the time you've cut it into individual pieces, make sure that you wash all of this in some warm soapy water to clean that stuff off of the surface. It will otherwise interfere with your ability to paint afterwards. So then to get into making the parts, as you can see here, I've just a handful of tools, a scale rule, not on this screen, but also I use a little square, which is very helpful for making sure that things are perpendicular. A pen, in this case with some bright colored ink, and a fresh new X-Acto blade. Don't use your old blade, get a new one out when you start cutting. And you definitely measure twice and cut once. You saw last night my drawings on with the dimensions, and so you're transferring those dimensions to the styrene sheets to cut out the individual parts. And so it's critical that you measure very carefully. As you can see in the center photograph there, you can see where my little tick marks were on the side, and use the square to make sure that that was square across horizontally. And I had that dimension from the horizontal line to the roof peak from counting the boards, but laid it out very carefully to make sure that it was dead center so that those little triangles are absolutely identical. And having laid that out, then you can start to cut. And as you can see in the left-hand photograph there, I'm just using a steel ruler. One trick I find is useful, you can see on the just above my fingers there's a little bit of masking tape, like that on the other side, just to help prevent it from sliding around. When you put a little pressure on the ruler, it doesn't slide. And as you can see, I very carefully lined up the ruler with that ink line, literally trying to split the ink line in half, and then using the X-Acto blade, draw it down the whole length of the line there from the edge of the sheet of plastic to the other edge, just very gently. Don't try to bear down. In this case, the first cut is not the deepest cut. The first cut is a gentle and shallow cut, just enough to make sure that you're scribing the sheet of plastic with the line, the desired line, and then you can go back and hit it again a second time or a third time, each time just taking a gentle pass with a fresh, sharp new blade, and this stuff will scribe very easily, very cleanly. And then styrene plastic has a property that just about no other building material we use has, which is once you've scribed it several times and got a sharp scribe in it, you can pick it up and bend it at the scribe and it'll snap very cleanly, surprisingly cleanly, giving you a very smooth edge. Or depending on what you're working on and where you're working, sometimes you can't bend the piece. You can continue scribing till it goes clean through. But this one is just a couple of cuts. I think I may have cut the sheet in half, which I didn't show you here, to give me the first sheet so that I then could scribe the gables on it. And then in the right-hand photograph, there's the first two pieces, both made the same way. But the trick is, once you've cut those, put them back to back and make sure that they're absolutely identical. The precision on the size of these walls right now will control how your model comes out. And if they're off, if one's a little wider or the gable's a little different, you're going to have problems. And so this is the time to match the sides, both ends, and make sure that they are absolutely identical. If you need to do a little sanding or whatever to make them identical, do so. And back in the old days when this styrene was cheap, if I was unhappy with a part, I would chuck it and make it again. Unfortunately, that's back when these sheets cost like $1 or $2. Today, they've gotten a bit more expensive. So cut carefully and hopefully you don't have any throwaways. But it's really important to match up your side for side and make sure that they're absolutely identical. And then the rest of the walls, this structure has about 7 wall pieces. They're all cut in the same manner, starting with the clean sheet, working on the back, because it's really easy to mark that. As you can see, the pen ink, it takes the pen ink nicely, though it does not sink in deeply. So if you start scrubbing it with your fingers, it'll smear. But it gives you the ability to mark your work. I use the pink or red ink because it shows up so well. And if you make a mistake while you're just drawing and you're not happy with how that looks, a little alcohol on a cotton ball or a little wad of paper towel, and you can rub that ink off and start over again. So make sure that your markings are good, square, what you want your finished piece to look like, and then do your gentle cutting. So once you've cut all your pieces, now you need to lay out the locations of the windows and doors. As you can see in the upper left there, I've taken the drawing and moved that window dimension onto the wall piece, bearing in mind here, and I believe as I made these drawings, I used the window castings I was going to use, that if your window dimensions are the prototype and the castings are not identical, you're going to have to compensate for that. And so, as you can see, I've got my little window casting there, the one that's going to go in the opening, so I can make sure that the rectangle there for the window matches the interior ridge of, in this case, a grant line casting. And so carefully marking it off, again, you can see there's the square I use, very helpful to make sure everything remains perpendicular, and scribing that window so that it is square to the sides. Incidentally, this sheet stock comes out of the package fairly square, but check it before you start turning it into parts. Occasionally I have found a rough edge or an edge out of the package that is not perfectly square. And obviously you want to adjust that before you start making parts out of it. It's easy to sand, it's easy to cut. You can clean up a rough edge and make it a nice sharp edge with very little work, a little bit of sandpaper, sanding block, and give yourself nice sharp edges and nice square edges to work with. So then in the center, this is my technique for putting windows and door openings into these materials. After you have laid out in ink the location of the window, I take a small drill bit and drill each corner. And the purpose of that is to, you can then connect the dots with your steel ruler going on the outside edge, the tangent of the circle, and cutting or drawing the lines from circle to circle. And that prevents you from overcutting into the material you don't want to cut, gives you a nice stop and work your way around. Again, you're not going to be able to bend this piece to snap out the cut work. So you're going to have to scribe through at least 3 of the sides, and then maybe the 4th one will snap. But it's basically, again, carefully scribing, drawing that knife blade down numerous times over that spot until the opening comes out. And then this is designed, and the location of the holes that I've drilled are intentionally just a little bit in from the lines, so that the opening that you get, here you go in the upper left-hand corner, using the square, cutting from the edges of the circle, going all the way around, the opening that you get when you're done will be just a little bit small. And I find it very easy then, using the window casting, to enlarge that opening just slowly and gently. Pare off a little bit of the plastic with a knife or with a emery type filing stick to just open up the, measuring, testing frequently until it just drops right in. Oops, and that's the next thing I'm going to show you. But let's finish up with, we're going the wrong way here. Until it drops in again. Oops, all over the place here. There it is. Because one of the things you need to be sensitive to is with this siding, if that window's crooked, it's going to show up because you've got all those horizontal lines. And so you want to make sure your window is nice and square. Indeed, it gives you a little guidance on the top and the bottom when you test it to make sure that it's absolutely square. And of course, one of the beauties of the grant line casting is they have a generous bit of trim around the edge. And so if you're out by just a little bit, well, Mr. Grant has thought of that, and it will cover little inaccuracies. Also notice this window is not centered on the wall. And so when you flip the piece over, keep that in mind, that you are working in reverse so that you don't cut the window in off the wrong way. No. So more on windows here. Now, this is the back of the building, though this upper window is identical on both of them. And after searching and searching, I found nobody makes a window that looks like that upper window. But rummaging through my supply of Grant Line and other window castings, I found this window, which was, as you can see, was intended to be set up vertically, and it's got a little sill there on the right-hand edge. But the Grant Line plastic is actually quite soft, and as shown in the center picture, with just a little care, you can carve off the sill and clip off the ends of the sill so that when you put it together, it looks like the example on the right. And that was just carving off that little bit of sill, maybe just a touch with a sanding stick, and you've turned that vertical window into a horizontal window, and a pretty nice approximation of the prototype window rather than scratch building the window, which would be your other alternative. And you'll see later on when I had to resort to making my own doors. But this casting was close enough, and it was quite easy to modify to give you that window. Here's the doors. The front of the building's got a lot going on. The three windows are identical, but they're different doors. And the front door is somewhat masked by the screen door in front. And I will make that screen door, and you'll see a little bit how I made that screen door. But on the left there is the Grant Line casting I had, which again was pretty close to the original, except it had the transom window on it, which I trimmed off. And looking closely at the window, especially on the right, you can see the diagonal boards that were used on that. There were no windows. The space was filled with diagonal boards. So I had in my supply of evergreen styrene, actually some old HO stuff, a sheet of horizontally scribed plastic evergreen, which by turning it at a 45-degree angle, as you can see there, I could get a diagonal, just cut out two rectangles like that and glued them into the doors. Gives me a pretty close approximation of the doors. I didn't bother to cut out the squares on the bottom because it's going to be behind the screen door and very hard to see, but I filled in those holes, put it together, and so you can see the glued together, and then that's actually been primed as well of the door that's going to go in the front door of the model. The other thing to notice on this is, unlike the Grant Line windows, this does not have a generous trim around it. And so you have to be very precise and very careful with cutting this opening so that this door assembly just fits, drops in with, there's nothing to cover up any inaccuracies here. I suppose you could always add some trim, even though the prototype, as you can see, does not have any trim. That would be a fallback, is if it's off a little bit, rather than cutting a whole new front, would be a little bit of trim. But I worked carefully and I got it to fit right in. So here, there's all my walls. As you can see, the various walls for the main building and then the lean-to on the side, all cut out using that technique. All the windows cut out, the windows and doors test fit. Nothing is glued in yet. And there was one change after I completed these. I economized on plastic by cutting out. You could have left this, or I could have left this as a solid wall, but instead I cut that out and used that for the side wall of the lean-to addition, and the dimensions work out just right. However, when I took this picture, I had not yet adjusted for the fact that the lean-to roof slopes down, and therefore this side had to be cut down a bit more, but that's not a difficult change. And so here we go on doors. The middle photo here, and if we go back, in the upper left-hand corner there, you can see the wooden door in the addition to the building. Obviously, nobody makes a casting that looks like that, but pretty easy to make your own. I took a thin sheet of green, just plain sheet styrene, lightly scribed it with a razor saw to give it some real texture, because as you can see in the photographs, this is the only wood in the building that you can see really deep grain showing. And so I grained that to get some contrast. And then again, working with my steel rule and making some tick marks, I marked off and just scribed those boards myself. And also it's a Dutch door. And so I gave it an even deeper scribe, but not cutting through. And then later on, it'll get some additional detail like a doorknob. But there's the door. And thinking ahead here, I intentionally made it oversized. Not only is it wider than the opening and taller than the opening, and the dimensions accounted for that. As you can see in the next photo, I also used this as a gusset to put the two pieces together. You could glue the door panel into the annex, leaving a little tab, and that gave me a really solid way to combine these two pieces into a single piece. And as I said, for a lot of this work, I am using just straight Testor's tube cement, which I really like for this because it doesn't set immediately. It comes out in a gel consistency, so it doesn't run. So it's very controllable, and it gives you a little time to make adjustments before it sets up. And in the worst case, it'll even come back apart. Whereas super glue, taking it back apart can be very difficult. Also, if you use liquid plastic cement with a brush, that sets pretty much instantly as well. And the Testor's cement, therefore, gives you a little working time. And this is styrene. It's exactly what the Testor's cement was made for. It welds it together very nicely. Now, so you've got all these pieces and we're going to put them together. I had picked out a package of very stout, in this case, rectangular stuff.
Jeff, I'm afraid we lost you. Jeff? Well, I'm afraid we're going to have to come back next week and hear how Jeff put it all together. So let me now turn to Chris Course for the next segment on our show, which is going to be MyBuild, which gives all the viewers an opportunity to show what they're building, show what they've modeled, and become part of the show in a very easy and comfortable way. Before we have Chris start introducing all the modelers, I do want to run a short video of Dan Darty's company that sponsors this segment of our show.
Welcome to the world of scale, O&S railroading. We are your resource for all O&S scale modeling. Both our magazines are advertiser supported and free to read online, download as a PDF, or even print. All advertisers are hot linked to their website, so if you see something you like, just click. Please check out our websites for the current issues. All back issues available free for the O-Scale Resource and the S-Scale Resource magazines. And, if you are a manufacturer, distributor, or retail establishment, please contact us through our website for advertising opportunities.
Well, Chris, I will now turn it over to you, sir.
All right, thanks, Jim. And we are. Okay. Come on. share screen. There we go. All right. My build, October 18th, featuring you. And oh, there it is. That's the slide I was looking for. It's the Halloween edition. All right. So we will start off. I'm your host, Chris Course. And then first up, we have Alex Belita. Alex, are you up? Okay. I guess he's not. So he did send a description, and he's got a couple photos that he sent. This is the abandoned Devil's Den Cafe, which is on his layout of Eureka, Nevada in the 1890s. It is scratch built. It has a torn up roof made from used coffee filter paper. Coffee stir sticks were used for boards. Brown sugar polish and isopropyl alcohol were used for the stain. And he's got some various Woodland Scenics products around it. And so
That's
there's
neat model. What scale is it, Chris?
He didn't say,
Okay.
but judging from those railroad tracks, I'm going to guess it's HO.
Okay. It's a nice model.
Yeah, he did a good job with that.
Yeah. I like the used coffee filters.
Yeah, they added a really unique look to the roof.
Yeah. Something different.
Yeah. Well, I think that's something that's I wouldn't say it's all that common, but we do see it from time to time.
Yeah.
All right. And now we'll move on to Martin.
Oh.
Yep, Martin.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
Alex does do HO.
Yeah, okay. All right. And you have just one slide.
I have just one slide,
Yes, indeed.
and there you are.
Yeah.
It's just as Lon Chaney said.
I love that lighting. How'd you get the lighting?
That is a LED flashlight held up in the air above the layout. The camera's on the ground, and I'm pushing a button on the camera.
That works.
Yeah, it took about 20 shots to get one in focus, but and with the light where I wanted it.
Nice
But
photo.
you get the cobweb.
Oh, that's just Mother Nature. She helps out now and again. O-scaled spiders, Just a figure from, I'm not sure, it might even be an artista figure, I don't know. But I figured I've got to have a clown at this end of the town.
It's a nice model. Nice model.
Is this thing working right? Oh, it's showing me instead of the screen. All right, here, let me stop this and then we will reshare.
Well, no, I was seeing the screen.
It was
Okay,
working-
there we go.
It was working just fine.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right, good.
That's all it is.
All right, thanks, Martin. That certainly meets the spooky part of Halloween, that's for sure. All right, next up, we've got Greg. I've got 8 slides from Greg.
I'm here.
All right.
Okay, this is my Spooky Town layout. This gets set up every September and October and open to the trick-or-treaters on Halloween night. And it's modeling in a different sense. Some of these pieces I do build, many of them I repair, but many of them are just store-bought. So it's the laying out of them, the assembly and the organization of them that's part of the modeling effort. And it's almost like building a layout every year. It takes about 6 weeks to put it up and about 4 weeks to take it down. Go ahead. Now, this year I have 5 different sections, and it's based on the type of pieces I have. This is part of the downtown section. as I call it, Spooky Town. And you can see each of the pieces have different ways of being lit up. Some of them have some motion. Some of them are just static items. Next. Now, this is part of the graveyard scene. Some of these items have motion, many of them have sound, and all of them are very creepy, very eerie, and I love each and every piece of these because they all have so many wonderful little details in them. Next. This is looking along the street in Spooky Town, and we have Mr. and Mrs. Astor there, along with their dog. And in the background, you have Sherlock Bones doing a little bit of investigation. You can go to the next one. Now, this is the main part that fits in the Halloween theme. This is the pumpkin patch. And I have a number of spooky barns and spooky cottages and quite a few pumpkin-headed scarecrows that seem to be dancing around. Next. Yeah, here we go. These are some of the rest of them. And as you can see, there are other areas to the left and the right. To the left of this is where the haunted houses are, and to the right of it is where the witches are. But this is the pumpkin patch. And all of this is pretty much at a child's height. The tables are about 3.5 feet high, so that when the children come in, they can see them. Next. And this is more of Spooky Town. Now, that one in the middle, the Creepy Doll Menagerie, has one of the scariest soundtracks of all the pieces that Spooky Town has. And it's basically just a doll that's looking for its missing parts and asking its mommy where its parts are. And it'll send shivers up your spine if you hear it. To the left, we have the Gothic Hills Funeral Parlor where they're holding a party. And to the right, we have the butcher shop. Now, this fountain in the middle is one of the modeling aspects of it. This was a 1/35th military kit made out of cast resin that I put together, and I filled it with an oozy green slime. And I have 3 lovely little clowns just holding court around it. Next. And this is more of the graveyard scene. This is actually where you enter the Spooky Town display. And the cathedral right there in the middle was one of my very first pieces that got me interested in Spooky Town in the first place. And I love putting this up every year. I wince when I have to take it down every year. It's like putting all of my favorite little pieces away. And then next year, I'll bring out the other half of my collection and have 5 completely different areas. So that's it.
All right. So,
Greg did not mention, I think it was last year, Greg was honored by the
Village Collectors Association.
Village Collect. He was honored being an honorary member or a life member, or I forget what the designation was. You'll have to forgive me, Greg.
It was a Hall of Fame contest.
That's it. That's it. And Greg won it. And I just couldn't be more pleased for you, because whatever you had last year was just outstanding.
Well, the Village Collectors Association is primarily revolving around Christmas villages, which, you know, in terms of popularity is miles beyond Halloween villaging. They start their Hall of Fame each year around November. But yeah, I was lucky enough to be involved in it, and they liked what I had. Now, every year there's new stuff and new people putting up displays, so I don't expect to be near the top this year, but we'll see. But I have fun. I love the spooky part of it. Skeletons and ghosts and goblins have always been something that I've enjoyed since I was a little kid and ran out for all the candy. Thank you.
Yeah, really cool stuff. It's funny. Greg emailed me and said, "Hey, is this outside the norm of what we do with the MyBuilds?" I said, "Nope, it fits perfect." Because it is.
Absolutely.
It fits. It takes you a little bit outside of your normal comfort zone. Who cares that it's not model railroading, but it's modeling just the same. So it's an exercise in modeling. So that's part of what this is all about. So any questions for Greg before we move on?
Can you imagine doing this for 6 weeks every year on the front end and then leaving it up for a couple of months, I guess, and then another month to take it down and put it away? And this is 1/2 of Greg's collection.
I have a question.
Yes.
Where do we see it?
Well, if you happen to be trick-or-treating on Bailey's Lane on October 31st, you are welcome to come in.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, any more questions for Greg? Beautiful work, Greg. All right, we will now move on to Bob Farquhar. Yep, Bob.
I've heard of him.
You've heard of him? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, these are Scratchbuild. The one on the left is S scale, and the one on the right is HO scale, just abandoned depot. And I did the S scale one because I've never done anything S scale before, so I thought I'd try that for just fun. And I think there's another picture. I think shows the back.
Yeah. I think it's the other
Yeah,
side.
there's the back side. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you like building an S scale, Bob?
I'm so much into HO. I prefer HO still, but S scale is different because you have to use a ruler all the time. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, not an issue really.
Yeah.
Bob, how did you build? Are they all board on board construction?
Yeah, board on board. Yes. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
Were you using commercial stains or did you make your own?
That's my own. I did the shoe polish, black shoe polish, and alcohol, and some rum, and Coke,
and some rum. Hope it was cheap rum.
What's that? Sorry.
Hope it was cheap rum.
Yeah.
Or are you talking about the medicinal side of it?
Medicinal.
Oh, okay. All right. Never mind.
Yeah.
Don't skimp on that.
Yeah.
What about since it came up a few minutes ago? What's the what material did you use for the roofing?
This tar paper. Oh, sorry, tissue paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks, Bob.
Sure.
Anybody have anything else? Any questions for Bob? All right. Well, thank you, Bob. We'll move on to Mitch. Mitch said he was going to be up. You up, Mitch?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right.
Looks like you've got 11 slides.
I can't see anything, but hold on. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right. Yeah, none of these are by any means completed, but I was rushing. So, but yeah, whenever you're ready, brother.
All right, here's the first one.
Yeah, this is I think it's a model power, just like the little in-scale model power kit, Mr. and Mrs. Duggar's house. And I had it laying around. I bought it probably 6 months ago and thought there's something I can do with this eventually, and it hasn't come up yet. So I just destroyed it and made it Halloweenish. The cobwebs that are on there was just an accident that I found out using some glue that I had that creates these string-like effects. And I said, well, I can maybe put this to good use, and did that. And then the awning snipped up and broke down, and then just kind of placed it on a little diorama that I had built, I don't know, about a year ago, just to see what one other house looked like. that's about it on that. I guess the believe it or not, the dirt and all the debris and buildup on the roof there is actually cigarette ash. And I just accumulated some cigarette ash at work and dumped it on there and then dripped a little bit of super glue over it. And it just held up really nice. And I thought it gave it a pretty unique look for weathering. But
Yep, that it does.
you can keep going. I know I got a ton of slides. I'm going to try to make this quick. Yeah, so that's just another picture of the roof there. So you can see what it looks like from the top using that method. It's probably not something I'm going to do continuously, but it worked for this.
Yeah, you got the effect out of it that you're looking for. All right, we'll go on.
Yeah, just the front of it, how it looked. It's like one of the cobwebs is leaning there a little bit. We'll fix that. All right, you keep going. And that's just to show you guys the scale, because N scale is so tiny and it's just it's kind of hard to work with, but it works for me. I really like using N scale.
Good.
All right, and then this should be the next one coming up. Yeah, this is last time started this big city block where I used the 4 or 5, I think, BPM kits. And this is just the next version of that. I'm gonna create city blocks, essentially, have either an elevated rail system going through the city or a subway, or maybe both. But this I envisioned to be kind of like an old block that maybe had a junkyard or something, and some nefarious characters acquired it, like the mob or something, and kind of turned it into their little hangout. You'll see what I mean when you scroll on. Oh, and all the graffiti work I did by hand. None of those are decals. And the picture to the left there kind of shows what I'm talking about. I actually dug up a hole in the back lot, and I took an N-scale character and wrapped him in 1-ply toilet paper and kind of paper mache'd him, and then put a high gloss black over it to make it look like they had wrapped him in a bag. And the 2 guys there are burying him, and I actually had to make a shovel in N-scale out of a piece of paper, if you can believe that. I doubt the pictures really show that, but
yeah, I just now see the 2 guys in the.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to
far left
see, but
photo there.
I mean, I haven't added. I mean, like I said, this is probably half done. There's a lot of detail work to be done, but I thought that'd be spooky.
Yeah.
All right, you can scroll on, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
And of course, I always like to give you guys a picture of the top to show you that the roofs are not without some amount of detail. Still some work to do on those, but getting there. All right. And these are, oh yeah, the top picture there, that kind of shows the guy standing next to the pile of dirt that he just dug, and then that shows the guy wrapped in black trash bags, I guess. And then the bottom is just how I rusted and weathered up some the cheap, I guess, like Asian bought N-scale cars that you can purchase online. But I find it kind of difficult to find N-scale vehicles in the era that I'm modeling. So I kind of just have to go with what I'm finding right now. But all right, you can go on. And yep, just more of the cars. The 2 shipping containers there I got delivered probably 2 days before I finished this, so I had to rust those up, weather those up pretty quickly, get those ready. And then the bottom picture, I took a picture of that just because you might be wondering why there's a police car there in a abandoned lot. Well, if you look closely, there's some bullet holes on the side of it where something bad went down. And so that got towed off to the tow lot. All right. And then, yep, these are some more scenes of the, I guess, the tow company side of this, where there actually might be some operations on this block still. That fence right there in the small picture where you see the three, I think there may be like 4-yard dumpsters right there with the graffiti on them. That actually I handmade. Usually when I do my fences like that, I do kind of like what the guy's been talking about with coffee stir sticks and everything, but this I did completely differently. That's actually just a strip of balsa wood instead of bass, because I knew this wasn't going to be any structural, really, or, you know, it didn't need any structural integrity. So I used balsa wood, and I actually scribed it horizontally, like as it will, it's laying horizontally now. So I scribed it vertically, I suppose. But that gave it the illusion that they were individual pieces. And then just added 2 little strips on the back end there, and added some cracks in the wood and everything, made it look really distressed. And then after I stained and weathered it, I thought it came out pretty good for what it was. But yeah, that's a handmade fence. The fence in the middle picture on the bottom, that is mat board with a brick paper that I actually print myself in N-scale, and I'll wrap it and fix it to the mat board, or I can fix it to buildings. I fixed it to anything that, you know, requires brick that I have to scratch build in a like styrene brick or whatever won't serve the purpose. And it weathers beautifully, believe it or not. It's photo paper, and it just it really takes weathering really good, whether it's powders or even stains. It kind of comes out looking really good. And then the picture on the right, I think, is just a tank and a picnic table where the bad guys might hang out and eat lunch and talk about what crime they're going to do next, I suppose. And that might be it. There might be another
I think
one.
there's at least one more. Yep, here's the last one.
Oh yeah, just the this would be if you were burying the guy, like I said, and you look off to your right. This is just the back side of those buildings. The awnings on those buildings are basswood that I made. The fire escapes, I think they're all gold metal products, and the air conditioner vents and the majority of the roof details are from a gentleman that I purchased off of eBay, I believe. He has a great deal, and this guy 3D prints anything you could want. I was buying the Walthers roof details, and I think I might have got maybe 15 or 20 of them for about $10. This guy sells 90 for the same price, and it's anything you, I mean, he has a kit that he sells that has everything from vents, air conditioners, tubing, anything. I mean, it comes with everything, literally. So I ended up buying 3 more of those, so I've got them for a while. But
what's his name?
If you give me 1 second, I can tell you. Let me see here. I might not know his specific name, but I can definitely tell you where to find it. Okay, this is... Okay, so the kit is called N-Scale Roof Details, Lot 180, and the seller is Static, STATIC 555. So you get a 90-piece set for $13. And it's, I mean, they're incredibly detailed for being N-scale. If you look closely at the pictures, I don't know if you know, but when you look sideways into an air conditioner, you can see through it. You know, you can see light coming in through the other side. His modeled that even in N-scale. which when I saw that, I was blown away. But yeah, he's on eBay. He's probably on a couple other platforms, but I haven't checked. But this guy makes incredible work. There's all kinds of guys that I found on there. Howard Zane and Al Puglisi were doing some work, I believe in O scale for a gentleman, and they were looking for roof details that they just couldn't find any in O scale. And I introduced them to a guy through, I think it was Etsy, that said he'd be more than happy to do it, you know, and, you know, by the thousands. This guy has a warehouse of 3D printers. I think that's a blessing to the industry in some regards, to some of the small, finer details, you know, that weren't there before. So,
Mitch, this guy, Static, is this kit the only kit that he does in N-scale, or does he have other?
No. He's got a lot of stuff. Yeah, I think I might have even gotten some parking meters from him as well. I just haven't put those up. Oh yeah, he's got a lot of stuff. Yeah, and his work is phenomenal. I've had some N-scale things that I bought that were not, but his is really good work. I will say that.
Thank you.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Thanks for sharing. Are there any questions for Mitch? Okay, well, thanks, Mitch.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you. Happy
I don't know if
Halloween.
anybody can hear, but I've got a cricket that's bothering me back here. Hope he's not bothering you guys too. All right, Father Ron could not be here tonight, but I do have a description of his stuff. So we will move on here in a second. There it is.
Absolutely, guys. Thank
Something
you.
about the file format he sent me acts funny on his computer. So I've got a cricket that's bothering me. What was that? That somebody chimed in.
Yeah.
All right. These are he's got 2 abandoned buildings on here that he's showing. I think this is the first one. Let's see. Okay. I think this is the best build along building. Yeah, what he did is he took and he put he intentionally did it so that the shingles are missing and some of the boards are missing, so you can see some vines and things on that. So this would be HO, I believe. And then let's see what the other. Okay, there we go.
That's a nice building.
Yep. And I believe this is the Caroline Crossman kit shotgun house. Currently not in production.
He really got the front porch falling off. He really got that looking real.
Yeah, you nailed that one. So he did a good job with that.
Yeah, nice looking building.
But it looks like he took some construction paper and really beat it up pretty good.
Yeah,
did a good job beating this one up. Got some boards over a bottom window and
yep,
to make it look abandoned. All right, some stuff in the chat here. Let's see. Okay. All right. Yeah, that looks like it for Father Ron.
Yeah, you did a really nice job on those.
Yeah, you did.
he really did. Now you've got one coming in from Steve Sherrill. He hadn't sent it to you before, but he's got a photo that he wants to talk about.
Okay.
So Steve, are you there? Steve?
Tell you what, why don't I go over this last slide and then I'll stop sharing and turn it over to Steve.
All right.
All right, the next My Build is November 22nd. To participate, email your photos to me, railrunner130@hotmail.com, and it's a free-for-all. I don't have a slide for December. I think we're going to do something winter-like. So I will stop sharing so we can turn it over to Steve.
Chris,
Great.
Chris, thanks so much. That was a great show.
This is a caboose that I did. I kit bashed this from a passenger car. And I put a clown on the back and pumpkins for Halloween. If you look, I'll move this. That's the front of it.
That's neat.
And that's the car. It started out with the car on the here. And I cut it down to get that. I needed cabooses from my railroad now that I've changed from standard length cars to these shorties. And so I lucked out and got 5 of these kits. They were 3D printed at the train show that Al Judy puts on every June in Harrisburg. And so I've got 2 of them I converted. They're both different. The other one's on the layout. I didn't have enough pumpkins to put it on. But they're only about 12 feet long. And this guy, that's me. That's where I want to be, right there. They're artista figures. And the pumpkins came from somewhere. I don't know, a pumpkin patch. I've had it from a long time sitting on a station platform. So I just thought it was appropriate to put them up today. That's all. That's it.
You're going to have to get Wallashan to do one of your scan your body so he can do a 3D printed picture of figure of you you'd use.
Me?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I can get him to do that. I get less.
Anyway,
Dave.
we're now ready to turn this show over to you and to LocoFi.
Whoa. Hey. All right. Well, tonight we have a special guest. We have Mr. Garb from LocoFi, and he is going to take the battery powered a little further than the RC cars, which we have presented rather, and he is going to show us his product now. I would like to ask him first, how long has LocoFi been in business?
Hello. Yeah, LocoFi has been in business for more than 5 years now.
5 years.
Yeah, as I give my presentation, I'm gonna probably cover that. You'll get a more detailed picture.
And how did you get started in the business? What made you, want to get into, model railroads and sound systems and control systems? What brought that on?
It's a long story. So I've been a rail fan pretty much all my life, and so when I like about 10 years ago or so, I discovered this model railroading, and it was really neat to see everything miniaturized and how detailed things can be to kind of relive that inside your room, because you don't see all those. I've traveled myself in like steam locomotives, and I don't see those anymore. So it just fascinated me, and then my son was born. He was about 2, and for some reason, I don't recall, like he was interested into some kind of a toy train, and I was like, let me get him something which is more real looking, rather than those bump and go kind of trains, or those that blow the bubbles, instead of the actual, the steam or the smoke. So I got him this, just probably like many others, this Parkman starter set, and And he just, I mean, being a 2-year-old or 3, I mean, he was able to, turn the knob and kind of make the train go in circles, stop it, go again, and then that struck me like, is that the end of it? Like, how long can you keep going in circles? So that got me thinking. And with my background in software and especially networking and electronics, so I thought this has to be something really very simple. And I just thought of, writing an app for it and using like a Wi-Fi chip to kind of simply control the train, and it would just use the track power and nothing else. And before that, I thought, let me just do some research. Maybe there is something out there already. And all I could see, as probably everyone knows, is this DCC. And I did not have a layout, so I didn't want to make it like a permanent thing. I like to, make different complex shapes out of tracks and then run the train. So I didn't want to be like stuck to a system where everything is just wired and you're not able to do anything with it. So I guess I thought I really didn't find anything in the market. I was pretty surprised. I thought maybe there is something out there. I just don't know. But how hard could it be to write develop a system like that? So I just did that, and I just got so much interested into it. I wanted to do sounds. I wanted to do like everything more and more prototypical. And once I had these, sort of hobby grade systems, which were actually pretty functional, I just posted a YouTube video of it. And not long after that, I just saw people putting comments on the video like, are you selling this? I was like, no, I just never even thought about it. But then that did give me an idea, and I thought maybe I should just try to explore it. So I just went to this local Great Train show. I mean, it didn't really take much to set up a table and a small piece of track work and just have the trains running there. And we were not selling anything. We just wanted to see what people thought about it, and we just noticed our table was probably one of the most crowded ones, and people really seemed interested. So I first initially actually I thought I would just sort of open source, the hardware design and everything. But then I realized probably nobody's gonna go out and get the boards done or put the components on it. So I guess that they would want something which is already ready-made, built, and functional. And but I should be able to, do the best, to help the community out there and kind of just support them and in the best possible way. So I just started, and we just started this thing. Never.
Okay, your
And,
battery, your system that you use the batteries with, you've got steam and diesel sounds. Can you tell us a little bit about the battery connection to your sounds and how it all works?
So the battery is used to simply power the board, and the board itself has a micro SD card on it. The micro SD card contains all the sounds. So the way I developed the system, as I told you, like I did not know anything about like any ABC about DCC. So it was all like purely grounds up approach, and the way I could imagine was me not going out and like doing all the sounds for everyone. Let everyone, I mean, there's plenty of artists out there who probably are very good audio engineers. Let me just tap their potential and let them come up with these sounds. I just need to provide an enabler, which is a way for them to extract those sounds and put them on the micro SD, and then we just play the sound. So The way it works is the micro SD has a bunch of files. Some of them are sound files, some of them define the configuration, and some of them define sort of like not a programming, but different parts of the sound sequences. And one of the files is for define whether it's a steam engine or if it's a diesel engine, and that kind of gives the flexibility to expand to maybe electric or maybe thermostat train, or you can define different categories like that, and go from there. So yeah, the battery basically powers the board, and the board comes with integrated sounds.
Well, your boards will actually run any scale train, won't they? Because you
Yes.
can supply any amount of voltage up to
Yes,
what,
yes.
24, something like that. So
The boards can work on any voltage from 7 volts all the way to 24 volts, and that means you can uh, have your locomotive and run it on any type of battery except 1S. 1S would need to be boosted up, but a 2S would be just fine, like a 2S LiPo, and all the way to I believe 5S. I know a customer who's using 5S, and or you can just use track power all the way to.
you're talking about 5 cells, right? 5 cells,
Okay.
up to 5
Yeah.
cells.
Yeah, I think that should be possible.
Are there any current limitations on the system?
So by default, the board has a motor. So the maximum power is consumed by the motor, and by default, the board has a capacity. The smallest of our boards has a capacity of about 1.5 amperes.
Okay.
And then we have decided to come out with boards specifically for like larger scales. And before we do that, I mean, there was already a huge demand, people asking us. I thought maybe it's just simpler to kind of expose the PWM outputs, and you can just plug any H bridge out there, any third party H bridge, and you just have a system. All the control, the commands, they're all residing on the Wi-Fi chip, and that's all we need. So we just would talk from the your smartphone to the Wi-Fi chip, and the chip would just send the command over to the H bridge, and it's not a very difficult connection. And yeah, and people have resorted to using that.
So you're saying for larger locomotives that require more power, you would have an H bridge in front of your board to control the motor.
Absolutely. And one of our customers, he did some research, and he actually came up with this very nice little board. I probably have it somewhere around here. It can go up to I hope you can see it. It can go up to 13 amps.
Okay.
It's pretty small, and it can support up to 13 amps. And I know, talk to some modelers, especially the brass, the heavy engines for larger scale, and if they're pulling some heavy load, it can go up to tens of amps in some cases. So this board should be pretty good in those cases.
You mentioned that it can work with a smartphone,
Mm-hmm.
Android, iPhone. Which one?
So currently we support Android and the Amazon Fire devices. We still do not have an app for the iPhones.
Okay. And where do you get the app that you have to download to the Android?
So you basically, for the first time, you will connect to the internet, maybe your home Wi-Fi or something, with the Google Play Store, download the app, and that's all. Then you can actually take out the SIM card or whatever and just disconnect from your internet connection and just directly control the locomotives.
Okay. And does the model or the version of the Android make any difference to the system?
We support Android 5 and higher. So
Okay.
anything before that is not supported. Even Google is kind of phasing out those things. So it's really hard to keep the compatibility. But 5 is pretty old, so I mean, it still gives you quite a decent variety, all the way from 5 to the latest.
Okay.
So your controller is actually on the phone, on the screen of the phone, right? And you operate it from the screen on your Android phone.
Yep. And the app is actually written in a way, it simulates like a dashboard of your locomotive. It has a little speedometer, which actually displays the actual speed, which is just not, I guess, I don't think any other system actually does that. Yeah. So you can actually see the speed and then kind of drive your locomotive, accordingly. And there is an RPM kind of meter for the diesels. That's sort of fake, but then you have the throttle, you have the horn. So you actually have the buttons to control things, and for each button press, you get like a tactile feedback. You can enable or disable depending on your preferences in the app, and there's tactile feedback on the throttle. So and there is like the cab sounds. So for each press of button, you actually hear the way you would hear in a cab, like the sounds from the engine are like, as you hear from a distance, they're different than what you would hear in a cab. So that's kind of the app gives.
So your board's actually your board actually comes with a speaker attached to it. Am I right?
Yes. So we provide like the whole complete package. It's not like you just get the board and then you buy the extras. Like, I mean, it's a sound enabled board, so we didn't want to like sell speakers extra. I mean, we already provide a very premium speaker, so the cost is sort of all included, and there's nothing like hidden there. And we also ship. Usually, we ship with like some spare wires, heat shrink tubes, LEDs, and stuff, so that the user doesn't have to like fumble around or purchase them separately. So all you need is like a soldering iron. That's something we don't ship. So.
Yeah. No.
If you didn't put an H bridge between the motor and the board, is the board putting out the same type of signal that most decoders put out to the motor?
Yeah, absolutely. And so the board does have an H bridge on the board. There is an H bridge on the board, which is putting out almost 1.5 amps.
Okay.
We have the first generation board, which is slightly larger, which can support up to 2 amps, but that does not have the steam functionality, like does not support steam sounds. So that can put out up to 2 amps, but the smaller board does not handle that much amps. I mean, there is basically the heat issues. So the smaller you go, the more heat it generates. That's the whole idea. Yeah, so it's limited to 1.5 amps, but that's where we expose like 2 separate outputs, and you just you can drive any H bridge you want.
So this is getting pretty technical. Is it possible for us to see the presentation and get kind of the overall view?
Yeah, let me just start the presentation, share my screen here. I believe we have about how much, like 15 minutes now. Yeah, so I will go accordingly. Okay, the first thing I wanted to start with in my presentation was actually a video. And so I believe most of the audience here is, I mean, they are familiar with Scratchbuild. So I will try to explain it in a very simple way. So this is large scale, at least S scale and larger. So
Not really,
yeah.
not really. It's all over the board. In scale, HO, everybody.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So this video is from like a dead rail install from a customer who did the install in an O scale, and he did quite a few ingenious things, you know, to get all the sounds and everything working right, and it just actually reminded something very, very prototypical. So let me actually share that screen instead. I can just share this. Let me know if you can hear the audio. So everyone can hear the audio, or
I can't, no.
Okay.
Are you sharing? Share the video. If you got the video, click on advanced share. Oh. Did you click on? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You can hear. Oh, great. Yeah. So this is the kind of results you can get, you know, using LocoFi. I mean, prototypical NAS, and this was an install in an O-scale Lionel ready to play locomotive, and this customer had, I guess, a bunch of them, so he did some experiments there. So all right, I mean, there is even a thread where this customer, his name is David Mahan, and he's posted, you know, the entire install process and what exactly he did, how he installed the batteries, the pictures, and everything. I can share all those links later. All right, so LocoFi. You probably, most of you, I guess, are familiar, as I can see, with LocoFi. For some of those who are not familiar, I'll just briefly go over what exactly LocoFi is. So we started back in 2018, as I mentioned earlier. It's more than 5 years, and we've been basically technology disruptors and innovators, and the first to bring Wi-Fi and onboard sound together, and without DCC. And why without DCC? We'll see in a moment. I mean, there's plenty of limitations and drawbacks that I saw that, like, in the very beginning. I just did not even want to try that. So, and since then, we have seen many more competitors jump the wagon in the area of wireless and, you know, dead rail and all these things. But still, we are glad to have been the forefront and still the disruptors in this area. We are not just digital; we are super digital technology. And since we started, you know, back in 2018, we have been getting more and more attention. We were the winner of 2019 Model Railroader Reader's Choice Award, and in the category of innovation in non-DCC based electronics and control systems. It's an award we won again in 2020. And so basically, what does this tell about LocoFi is that like customers love us. It was all readers and customers based kind of award, and our customers really love us. And we got worldwide customers in more than 20 customers. I believe the last presentation I gave, a similar presentation, it was about 15. Now it's grown to 20. And our customers range from small kids to more than 100-year-old seniors. And we've been appeared and been reviewed in a lot of top magazines in the world. And we have the transcripts for the different languages and of course the US magazines on our website. So you can go and check out our news section. That's where we've listed that. And you can go ahead and read those reviews. So we've been to a couple of national train shows, some local train shows, and wherever we went, we've just drawn crowds. And not only that, we are also a proud member of the NMRA partnership program, where we offer extra discounts to NMRA members. And in turn, for the purchases made using the NMRA discount codes, we donate a part of it back into the hobby. So what is LocoFi? We talked about LocoFi in the previous slide, like a brand. So, but we also refer to LocoFi as a technology. Basically, our goal is to simplify locomotive operations through the use of Wi-Fi technology, and that's even our tagline, actually. And so, what else is LocoFi? We also refer to our modules as LocoFi, like LocoFi modules. So basically, it just depends on the context we are talking. So, like what LocoFi really means. In the very very recently, we have also been referred to as a system. And even though we don't consider ourselves as a system, but we have embraced the term that we are a system because like the power, the Wi-Fi, like the access point, or like the app, or the smartphones, all these things, we do not provide any of that. We let the modelers or the users choose whatever they want from whatever brand they want, be it like an old, laptop power supply to power your system, or any type of batteries you have at home. We don't try to sell any of that stuff. So we just pretty much provide the modules, but it still sort of forms a part of a system, and so that's also how we've been referred to. So we started back in 2018 with one basic capability, to have the ability to update our firmware over the air. So so we released our first generation in 2018, and that module is still getting updates today. It's getting all the latest features that other modules or the newer modules get, except for the sound updates. But all the other speed-related prototypicalness updates, that module still gets that. And because of that ability, we have been able to come out with more updates. In 2019, we came out with customizable app settings, and we started with customizable loco settings. And 2021, we introduced consisting, and very recently we introduced theme. And we have plans for like the high current modules. We have a product which is currently stalled, but we are gonna revive it. It's called Amrit. which is very much catered towards dead rail. And of course, we gonna come up with iOS updates or some accessory controls like turnout signal and stuff. So pretty exciting stuff in the future. And so what LocoFi is not is definitely not wiring or very minimal wiring. With dead rail, it's absolute zero. That also means no extra equipment like the boosters, computers, like different adapters, programmers, command stations, buses, feeder drops, switches, circuit breakers, auto reversers. I mean, the list goes on. Frog juicers, reverse loop, all those electronics. Like you don't even have to solder the tracks. There's nothing, no headache. So and not going under the table means you save your head, you save your sanity, and you actually save your head. And definitely LocoFi is none of that. And we don't believe in complexity. More complexity basically means more points of failure. It becomes more error prone, and then it just requires more maintenance. You're just constantly fixing things one after another, and that's not fun. So what LocoFi is just four things: a power supply, which is a battery in the case of dead rail, the smartphone to download the app, the module, LocoFi module, which goes in the trains, and an optional Wi-Fi router. If you want to really have very large network and you want to operate like over large distances. So the power supply, as you can see, can be actually, we have, in the case of dead rail, it's battery, but you can also, we designed it in a way it can be powered with DC, DCC, or even AC. Just need a bridge rectifier and a capacitor in the loco. And so the control is wireless, specifically Wi-Fi. So we have basically managed to get rid of the traditional signal on the wire thing, and it doesn't ride on the power. So the separation of power from the control, we brought that to the market, and I think everybody's talking about it nowadays. We were the one who we postulated this idea back in 2018, and so I'll mention is the ability, that is the ability to go wireless, which makes it possible to separate this power component, and then we are free to use the power we want, which is battery in this case, and the power now resides in the loco. And so basically no maintenance, no headaches, and obviously more fun. Okay, so this is how you install. I believe Steve is going to cover this in more detail. Maybe next episode, he's actually going to show the pictures of an install that he has done. But LocoFi module comes with like 7 wires. So the ones that come from the track, I mean, you can just disconnect them and instead power it to the battery. The white, the blue, and the yellow, they go to the lights. The orange and the gray go to the motor. The speaker, which is already attached. You can, if you want, cut out that speaker and use any other if you want for some reason. I have gotten that request, but I guess most people are pretty much happy with what we have. Of course, for larger scales, we do ship out, we at least recommend using like a larger speaker. We provide some models, and then customers have used a variety of models, and all those different kinds of speakers that different customers have used. We have created a thread on our forum where people post these kinds of things, so you can benefit from that depending on the availability of space and the the sound quality that you want. So briefly, like how does LocoFi work is, so first scenario is, so the way LocoFi works is the smartphone, which is basically the client, it connects to an access point. Now, on the right hand side, you see on the screen, you see there is a Loco UP MP15 DC. Now, when you go to your Android wireless settings, you connect to this Loco. It will show like connected here. And once that is done, you fire up the app. So your smartphone is now connected to this access point. The module is acting like an access point, like a router in your house. It just doesn't have internet connectivity, but it does have the Wi-Fi capability. And your smartphone is now gonna connect. It's connected to it. When you launch the app, you see the locomotive visible in the app, and you can just start operating it. Now, this module, this access point, has the capability to connect up to 7 or 8 devices. So if you have like a very small layout, you don't actually need an external Wi-Fi router. One of your locomotives can act like a Wi-Fi access point, and the rest of the locomotives can join the band. So in the case of the module can act like an access point or as a client to an access point. So to illustrate that, I'll give you a demo of how exactly we add a loco and everything if we have time. Probably we don't, but so we a single user can connect to multiple locomotives through the intermediate access point. And of course, what we have is multi-user, multi-engineer, multi-train control, where each user has control of their own train. As you can see in the diagram, the blue user can control like blue locomotives, red can control red, and it is all visible on the screen. You can actually see which locomotive is controlling which train, which engineer is controlling which train. Sorry. And so I just put a slide here. This is how the connectivity to high current module. This is the module I was showing you, the MD13S, and clean DC power supply is pretty much a battery. And if it's a battery, we don't even need a bridge rectifier. We just directly connect the H bridge on one side and we power the module on the other side. We use the PWM direction outputs and feed it directly to MD13S. That's all we need to do. And so what does LocoFi offer? So in one sense, LocoFi is simply another alternative to operate trains. The question becomes, why LocoFi? What does it offer that the others don't? So you all know that there are plenty of systems out there to operate the trains, and each one has its own merits and drawbacks. And people have even developed their in-house, custom systems to meet their own needs. I'm not going to go into each system, obviously, but just I'm here to talk about LocoFi and what it can offer you and how you may benefit from it. So, one word, it offers plenty, a lot. And so I'll quickly go over these points. I mean, because we don't have enough time here right now. So innovation, we bring everything technology related first to the market, and that's it. And others are just, we take the lead really, and people see us, and then they just, of course, they want to grab part of that. So, and another aspect of the second aspect is obviously the simplicity and simplification. I mean, you don't need all those complicated systems, no wiring, nothing. I mean, just simple install the module and just run the train. And so, simplicity also in terms of usage. It's intuitive, very easy to operate, and the throttle is probably there with you almost all the time. So let's say, modeler goes to another modeler's house and say, let's run trains. Like, did you bring your throttle? Yeah, I have the smartphone. Let's start running the train. That kind of thing. It offers flexibility. We designed it in a way to compatible with different types of power sources, different types of systems. We do not want to tie anyone into using a specific piece of electronic equipment. And so then, of course, we have scalability, which is basically with the over-the-air updates, which are free. Customers get recent updates and all the latest functionality, and it's also scalable in terms of like having really large networks of locomotives and really long ranges, like literally infinite if you set up like a mesh network of all the Wi-Fi access points, and you can operate anywhere. And then we sell our modules. We sell directly to the customers, and they're fully loaded. Comes with speaker and everything, so there is nothing else there. And the technology, I mean, we offer technological advancement. Like, we offer the latest technologies that are out there, like integrating with IoT and Wi-Fi and everything. Gives you an edge, and you're able to bring more. You're able to offer more to the customers, more functionality, more features, rather than just trying to integrate everything with like something that just cannot do. So, there is no patchwork involved. It's like fresh, brand new. And of course, whatever we do, prototypical is at the heart of it. We always focus on that before we develop any new feature. We try to bring as much of that. And so how do we take it to the next level? By offering prototypical operation. We have speed profiles for customization. I wish I could show you. I have a couple of phones here set up for demo. I don't know if we'll have time to do that, but I can show you how one engineer, when they control a train, the other engineer comes to know that it's been controlled by another engineer. And then how you can have different speed profiles for different voltage. You can have a different voltage on your home track, take your locomotive, switch the speed profile to a different voltage, and you just run it prototypically on your new layout. And then we provide really fine speed control. We have we provide like more than 1,000 speed steps, and our scale speeds can be measured accurately up to 1/100th of a mile per hour. So when we actually do consisting, you really see the locomotives really match along well. And I would like to show you this auto speed matching and auto shove, like how that is achieved. Like, just define a speed profile, and consisting is like 1, 2, 3. Auto shove is like one of 1, 2, 3. So it's really easy. And we have features, which even the tactile kind of handheld throttles do not have. Like, we have pressure sensitive emergency stop. So like, if you're afraid that you might accidentally hit a button, on your smartphone, like, it would stop your train. So we have this button for emergency stop, which you can configure for a specific pressure. You can actually set, like, if you really hit it really hard, then only my train is going to stop. So it's not like an accidental stop or anything. So and one of the cool features is auto stop on any type of connection loss. So with enough access points, usually there is no connection loss. But for some reason, if there is a connection loss, your trains are not runaway trains ever. So the way it is accomplished is like if either the smartphone or the train loses contact with each other, the train would automatically just stop and until the connection is restored. And then we have feature like one you can just simply lock your locomotive so that nobody else can take it and things like that. Which of course, if you agree verbally, that shouldn't happen. But okay. So to sort of summarize, we just simplify Wi-Fi using Wi-Fi technology. We are Wi-Fi based, scalable, reliable, and it's unlimited engineers and literally unlimited range. You can power it your way with any kind of power supply. We provide onboard sound, and we provide literally unparalleled prototypical operation. There is obviously no complicated setup, wiring, lost commands, or any extra equipment, and it's really easy to configure, use, and maintain. And now is like time for like demos, example videos, time permitting. Let me know if anybody is interested in how much time we do have. I can go over some of that.
So I really do appreciate you being here this evening and showing us all of this again. I mean, this is, as you know, I've been impressed with your system for many, many years and wrote about it early on, right after you started, not too long after you started anyway. And I really do think that this has some real potential for the battery power operators out there that are considering battery power. I think this could really be a help to them, from what I understand.
And I believe I have one of our customers is also here. He's like one of the customers who has probably the largest dead rail layout, using LocoFi. I'm not sure. Hey, Rick, are you there? Maybe he dropped off. I don't know. Rick, Garth, are you there?
Rick. Well, if he's not here tonight, if you could contact him, because I'd like to have him on the show in the future. Maybe you could come back with him and have him discuss it, because if he's really using this system with battery power, that's what this is all about right now for me, because I think there's an awful lot of people out there interested in taking a hard look at battery power. And if your system can help people with battery power get started and up and going, then that's what I'm interested in trying to show right now. So maybe Rick and you could come back and you can coordinate it through Steve, and we'll have both of you on sometime in the future to talk about specifically how he's using it with his dead rail system.
Sure. Yeah. I can actually quickly do this. I believe. Yeah. So. If you go to, I think the videos. Actually, I wanted to go through our website as well, just to see where to find different information. Like we have a forum dedicated to battery and dead rail, and if you search for the word battery or dead rail, you'll come up with plenty of information and all the customers who have done it. And I wanted to mention this one particular customer, and we consider him actually a battery guru, and like what he uses, like all different kinds of batteries, and he does experiments with LocoFi and
that's why I was suggesting he might be perfect to come onto the show and and give us his experience with the different kinds of batteries and what he's done using your system and battery power.
Right. And we also have like on a website, like section on videos where we have some customer layout with, if you see this word dead rail here on the
Yep.
videos, you just go through it and you will see, how people have done, there's quite a few dead rail layouts people are just using this for. So, and of course, yeah, there's all these, testimonials and installs and everything. So, yeah, that's.
Let me ask you one question. I don't have an Android phone. You also sell Android phones, right? For people like me that don't have them.
No, we do not sell Android phones. We do not. We try not to sell any of these things. I mean, this is something which is out there. Everybody.
How do I get an Android? How do I get an Android phone?
So you Amazon, you get it for like less than $40.
Where do I go? Where do I get
Amazon.
it?
Amazon. I sent Steve the other day. Right from Amazon.
Oh, okay. So I go to Amazon. I buy the phone on Amazon. It's less than $40, and I got my Android phone.
Yeah, I can send you the link if you want. Sure.
If you could if you could give the link to Steve, then he can put it. He can talk about it maybe the next show, and that solves that problem. But listen, I do want to mention again, if you want to buy LocoFi, now is the time to do it, because the company is giving a special additional 15% discount tonight and tomorrow night, or today and tomorrow. And you have to, when you log on to the website to place the order, you have to use the code JK, S as in Sam, P as in Paul, L as in Larry, 2315. And that gives you the additional 15% discount for one LocoFi for tonight, tomorrow, those 2 days, today and tomorrow. So if you're interested in this, now's a great time to buy one, because you'll never get a better price than this, I don't think. No. So Bress, thank you so much for being here this evening and sharing all this information with us. And again, if you can get in touch with Rick and we can excuse me, arrange for him to be on the show, and you want to join me, then Steve can set that up, and we'll get his input from a battery perspective and what he's done experimental wise with your product.
Yeah, sure. I think he was on earlier. I'd seen him, but he probably dropped off. But I just want to thank you and Steve for having me on the show. Glad to be here.
Well, I appreciate you coming back again. I can't thank you enough for the additional discount for the viewers, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have some questions, I believe, in the chat. Like, I would appreciate if people can email me those questions, and then I can respond to that.
Can we do that?
I mean, if I
don't have the questions. I don't know what questions he's talking about.
People have posted some questions on the chat, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when using N-scale, is it possible to have the majority of electronics in a dummy locomotive or even two dummies? Yes, of course, that's possible. You can have electronics, and that's some of the N-scale installs have done. I didn't really bring it up because many people want like everything, all the electronics, like under the Loco shell. So that's not yet possible, but you can have the battery, the module, the speaker, like in a trailing car, and just run the wires, the motor wires to the, just like a steam install pretty much, like even an HO, and you can have N-scale going. And the next question is, I have one LocoFi installation in ABA F7 set with plenty of room for battery and dummy B, hoping to get wiring for that. I have 3 more to be installed in Steam. F7 setup works well, but I'm thinking Amazon, I will press the phone. It was a battery recharge. Yeah, we don't have the Amrit available yet, so I either charging is definitely one of the drawbacks, I believe, of Dead Rail. You know how to charge it, but there are systems out there which you can do trickle charging from the track. And if you have space available, like in the dummy units, those kind of systems can be installed there, or you'll have to wait for Amrit to be out there, which probably is another year away or so. I can, and I believe that's all we had. And my email is Wi-Fi model railroad at gmail.com. And I actually did not bring up that slide, so it was like a
Yeah.
This is the slide I forgot to put up.
And seriously, anybody that wants to contact you, if they lose your email or whatever, just let me know, because I can put you in touch with him anytime. I've got his email.
Yes, of course.
Well, we guys, thank you so very much. We appreciate you being here this evening, and look forward to seeing you and Rick in the future. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Steve, thank you so much. It's been a very informative session. And next week, we look forward to some more battery power.
Yep, that's what we're going to do. See you next week.
Thank you. Well, that's pretty well our show tonight. We have a short caboose for you that I think you're going to find interesting. It may be a little surprise for you.
People who look at my photographs will bring their own stories. They'll say, oh, this reminds me of the house that I grew up in. Oh, we were in a car crash that looked something very similar to that. So it brings those stories out in people. There was a Popeye cartoon when olive oil was...
Bringing those stories out in people is exactly what model railroading does. Brings back all of the memories when we were kids. Remember that Christmas, that first Christmas, when that Lionel train arrived around the Christmas tree? You and your dad sat on the floor on the carpet, and your mom was scared to death that all that oil from that engine was going to ruin her carpet. But you and your dad ran that train most of that day. Boy, those memories, I never will forget them. Thanks so much for being here tonight. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the show. Most importantly, I hope you learned something. And take a look at LocoFi. It's something that I believe may be a real part of the future of our hobby. So thanks again.